coming up from the Northeast Live studios in Guwahati. Northeast Tonight with Wasbir Hussain.
Hello and welcome to Northeast Tonight, the show that decodes the region. People living along international borders live difficult lives in most cases. The difficulties can be because of the terrain, remoteness, lack of proper infrastructure and connectivity, and of course, our issues of security. This is true in the case of Arunachal Pradesh, where people living along the border with China face problems due to the mountainous terrain and remoteness of locations. And when young man trespasses the almost imaginary line of actual control in DG Himalayan heights, lands in area which supposedly belong to China and gets into the hands of the Chinese People's Liberation Army, things get more difficult. Then it is left to the helpful Indian Army to contact their counterparts and get into a tedious job of locating such youths and try and get them back. Since the 19th of August this year, 2 youths from the bordering district of Anjao in Arunachal Pradesh have gone missing and are believed to be in Chinese custody. Earlier, a youth who had gone missing in similar situations were handed back to the Indian Army by the PLA. To discuss life in border areas, I have an eminent panel tonight. Congress leader Mr. Ninong Aring is joining me from Delhi. Also on the show is Mr. Lokam Tasar, BJP MLA from Koloriang. Joining me tonight as well is Group Captain Mohanto Panging, a former Indian Air Force pilot. I also have Professor Nani Bhatt, who teaches at the Rajiv Gandhi University. He is joining me from Itanagar. Also joining me is Rajya Sabha MP from Orissa, Sujit Kumar, who is the convener of the All-Party Indian Parliamentary Forum for Tibet. Gentlemen, welcome to Northeast Tonight. Let me first go to you, Mr. Lokam Tasar, BJP MLA from Koloriang. Mr. Lokam Tasar, welcome. First of all, as I have said in my introduction, the people living along the border, including the border people in Arunachal Pradesh, have to live very, very difficult lives. The places are remote, the location absolutely, unreachable, some of them. There are no motorable roads in some areas. How difficult you think people along the border, and then some of our youths go missing very frequently. So how would you what are your opening remarks, the difficulties of the people living along the border? I think Mr. Lokam Tasar.
Hello. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, border people are facing inconvenient in terms of communication, number one, and electricity, power connectivity, road connectivity. And now under PMGSY, almost every village is covering. It's likely to it has got target of completing within March. But due to natural calamities, I think it will extend up to this next year, 2023 December. And there is a great worry that Government of India, Ministry of PMGSY, has given time-bound period up to March, this March. So this way road is constructing. But the Indian defense personnel, they are facing very untold problem to carry out their short-range patrol and long-range patrolling across the LOC. Particularly,
Along the
my
LOC,
constituency-
along
my
the
constituency-
LAC, along the LAC, not
along
across.
the LOC.
Yes.
Yeah, correct.
Yes.
माने border Indo-Tibet China border.
तसार जी क्या क्या चुनौतियां हैं, क्या क्या चैलेंजेस है बॉर्डर में जो लोग रहते हैं उनका बहुत प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है लोकेशन के लिए, रिमोटनेस के लिए, कनेक्टिविटी नहीं है, ड्रिंकिंग वाटर सप्लाई भी नहीं है. तो इस दौरान में आप क्या कहेंगे, क्या करना चाहिए, सरकार का क्या प्रायोरिटी होना चाहिए?
सरकार का अभी बेसिकली इसी टाइप का है. इन माय कॉन्स्टिट्यूंसी कवर्स द इंटायर Kurongkome district, covers entire northern part of the Indo-Tibet border. My constituency alone, and in my constituency, it is I am facing the problem that my people, villager people, they have migrated to foothills areas. Mostly 40% of the population during the 1962 Chinese aggression and all. And some people are migrated to foothills areas due to this for lack of medical facility and the communication and education sector during the period from the 1970 to 80 and all this thing, 90. And now I am, my attempt is to bring them back by facilitating this structure for dwelling house structure in form of by creating a model village, and for their self-sustainable and to introduce innovative integrated farming.
Right. Okay.
So in this way, I have of the proposal, and this time our Chief Minister Pema Kanduji have taken up a very initiative, and our Prime Minister has approved the proposal in the name and style of vibrant village.
Okay.
So we are happy and we are waiting of the guideline to implement.
Right. Now this
and
is
now
now मैं आऊँगा.
this is in part of the
right.
this is in part of the rural people, more
right.
but
right.
rural people due to less population in the village, army force, the defense personnel are facing lack of manpower in support of them to carry out the border patrolling. So
Okay.
because to carry out the border patrolling, it's means of by head load only. There is no road, there is no track for
Right.
house.
So I'll come back to
horse
you.
riding.
मैं आऊँगा. I'll come to you again. I'll come to you again in a minute,
Okay.
Mr. Lokam Tasar ji. The main point which Mr. Lokam Tasar is making, Mr. Ninong Ring, is that there has been the population is less. A lot of people have migrated, and his desire is to bring the people back, and he can bring them back only when there is proper infrastructure. And now, therefore, he wants to make a proper modern villages, and there is already a scheme by the government under the name of Vibrant Village, and he is awaiting its implementation. And Mr. Tasar is saying that the Indian Army is also faces problem because the population in the villages are very low. Now, Ninong ji, how do you see this? What should be the government's priorities? At the end of the day, the first people along the remote border areas, they are the people which keeps our flag flying in the remote border areas, including in Arunachal Pradesh. आपका क्या suggestions है? आपका क्या परिकल्पना है? आप क्या सोचते हैं?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Like my very good friend,
Oh God.
does not.
I think Ninong ji, we'll come to you. We'll come to you through let's put the camera on Ninong Ring. Let's
Yeah, you can also.
no. Let's improve the line with Mr. Ninong Ring, because his views are very important. Now, Mr. I'll come to you, Professor Noni Bath. I'm coming to you, but let me go to Group Captain Mohanta Panging, former Indian Air Force pilot, joining me from Pasighat. Mr. Mohanta Panging, we are talking about the difficulties, the hurdles, the problems, day-to-day life the people face in the border areas. So what is your experience of the border people in Arunachal Pradesh?
Good evening to all the panelists. My salute to you, all of you.
Salute to you
Especially
as well.
Wasbir ji.
Thank you. Salute to you as
Today
well.
is a very historic day, actually. Today, exactly today, 60 years back, the Sino-India War started. And today is the 60th year where we have to remind ourselves that the Sino-India War of 1962 was the only war we lost. And the Chinese forces entered deep inside Arunachal Pradesh, almost along 6 axes. And today we have to remind ourselves of the challenges we face vis-a-vis our northern neighbor, so-called the dragon or China. In Indian geopolitics, we have been traditionally Pakistan-centric, and most of our attention has been focused towards the western borders. And it's very important that a channel like yours is focusing on the main challenge that India faces in the 21st century, that is the China. And this aspect of border transgressions between these two great nations. And we all know that we have many skirmishes and tension points like the Galwan Valley, like Tokolam, like Chomdorungshu, and other transgressions into each other's territory. And you are very aware that the McMahon line itself is being disputed by China. Hence, the watershed principle, what it follows, and what was laid down in 1914 in the Simla Agreement, till today is disputed by our northern neighbors. And since the border, the people, some of the tribes share the border, and there are some people, some relatives staying across the border also. And the border is not clearly defined. It is not fenced like the India-Pakistan border or the India-Bangladesh border. So there is bound to be some transgressions on each other sides.
Right.
What is for us to look into is ways to prevent those, how to prevent this. And one of them is already suggested by our Honorable MLA who spoke earlier, that we have to develop the border infrastructure so that our people stay in these areas and border-to-border relationship is built up. So another point is, since you talked about the Indian Army,
right.
most
No,
of
I'll-
the people have been
No, now the issue. Yes, you are right. You are right, Group Captain Mohan Topanging. I'll come to you. You have raised some very important issues. I'll come back to you, but let me take an opening remark from Professor Noni Bath. Professor Noni Bath, how do you see the situation along the border? Particularly, we are today discussing the difficulties faced by the border people. Yes, the government of India is doing its best. There is a lot of infrastructural boost along the border, but still lots needs to be done, because in the last 70 years, the push which was necessary was not given. Only in the last 10 to 12 years, last 10 years or so, we have seen the push. But the push so long, 70 years after independence, we are talking about the infrastructure development along the border with China. The successive governments in the past have not done anything. Only in the last 8 to 10 years, we have seen the boost. So what is your opening remark? How do you see it?
Wasbir ji, greetings from Arunachal Pradesh. I hope you are audible enough. I'm audible enough.
Absolutely audible, yes.
You could hear
Boliye.
me? Yes. Wasbir ji, let us put the things in perspective in order to understand the problems of border areas in Arunachal Pradesh. We really need to understand the borderline in between India and China, which often Claude Apti would call it a perception border. And because of this perception, we perceive some border as us, they perceive some borderline as theirs. And basically because of this, that the problems that are cropping up happening day by day. Now coming to the problems I would say that challenges are big. challenges are big enough in Arunachal Pradesh and the hurdles are bigger. However, please be noted that it is also important for us to understand that the challenges we see and the hurdles that we have in the border areas of Arunachal Pradesh is not much as one imagines from outside the state or outside the border. The problems lies where? The problems lie in not in the pumping of money in the border area of Arunachal Pradesh, but basically because of the fact that there is a huge volume of corruption in the state of Arunachal Pradesh. It is not there, there is no infrastructure development. Initiatives are not there. There are initiatives by the government of India in the forms of JJM, in the forms of PMGSWAS, in the forms of BADP. But the problem is of implementations. These are not being able to implement it because of the, as I said, because of very big volume of corruption in the state of Arunachal Pradesh. And what is important, what is very, very important is to address the menace of corruption in Arunachal Pradesh in order to solve the problems in the border area. Not just in border area, also in the entire state of Arunachal Pradesh.
Right. Yes, yes, Mr. Montapanging, yes, you want to say something. Yes, go ahead. Before I go to once again, let's have everybody on the screen. Where is Mr. Ninongaring? Okay. Yes, Mr. Panging, yes.
Yeah. This is regarding the corruption thing that is spoken by Professor Nani Bhatt. I have been in the armed forces. I have served in the Northeast. Let me tell you that there has been so much development in the last 7 to 8 years in the Northeast. I, as an operator, no, there have been so many ALGs that have been sanctioned, so many bridges that have come up, so many roads that have come up. The infrastructures have developed leaps and bounds, and this is happening only in the last 10 to 15 years. And this to be continued because the Chinese are far ahead of us in infrastructure. And we need to cope up. But last 5 to 10 years, the development has been tremendous on all fronts as far as infrastructure is concerned.
Right.
And we have to put it on record.
Yes, absolutely. Let me go to Mr. Lokam Tasar. Tasar ji, ये बताइए कि today, you see, exactly 60 years ago on this day, that is the 20th of October, the China war started. मैं अगर आपका ये सवाल करूं कि ये पिछले 7 सालों में किस तरह का डेवलपमेंट हुआ, इसके लिए कौन रिस्पॉन्सिबल है, क्यों नहीं हुआ, ये सवाल कौन करेगा?
अच्छा, ये बात ऐसा बात है आपका अभी just now one of the colleague has spoken that BADP and other schemes are implemented, but it is
no, let us not talk about Tasar ji, मेरा प्रश्न सिंपल है. आज 1962 वार का आज 7 साल हो गया है, 60 years. तो ये 60 years में क्या बदल गया है, क्या बदलाव आया है अरुणाचल के डेवलपमेंट का सेक्टर में, क्या बदलाव आया है, पर्टिकुलरली डेवलपमेंट ऑफ द बॉर्डर एरिया? क्योंकि कांग्रेस का सरकार था, मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम इट वाज द कांग्रेस पार्टी व्हिच रूल्ड इंडिया. तो अभी बीजेपी सरकार आया हुआ 2014 से ही है. तो कौन इसमें जिम्मेदार कौन है? हु इज रिस्पांसिबल फॉर दिस लैक ऑफ डेवलपमेंट?
It is a totally everybody know it is totally blame goes to the Congress party government. Congress party government is a Congress party, I believe, is not a committed political party for national interest and national sovereignty. They cared during my father. They have given memorandum for giving shelter to the people, giving facility for this and that thing. Nothing has been responded. And like BADP, one of the speakers has said that it is due to corruption, BADP fund is misused. It's not that. It is totally illogical. BADP is implementing with strict monitoring, geo-taking and all. And only the problem is in BADP, there are guidelines. As per guideline, it has to cover up every sector like health sector, agriculture sector, or community-based asset sector.
Right.
So money
So-
per year is 1 crore. 1 crore, when it is divided into, it become a piecemeal.
So
And this time we all Arunachal Pradesh
No, we-
Legislature Forum.
Okay, I'll come back to you. Tasar ji, मैं आपके पास दोबारा आऊँगा. I'll come back to you. I am joined now by Mr. Ninong Ering, Congress leader, Congress MLA, former MP from Arunachal Pradesh. I also have with me Mr. Sujit Kumar. He is a Rajya Sabha MP from the Biju Janata Dal. He is an MP from Orissa, but he is also the convener of an all-party forum on Tibet. Mr. Sujit Kumar, welcome to the show. Ninong Ering ji, आपका भी स्वागत है. Sujit Kumar ji, can you hear me? First of all, Sujit Kumar ji.
I can hear you, Mr. Hussain. Thank you for
Yeah,
having me.
thank you. Welcome to the program. We are discussing, Sujit Kumar ji, you see, today is 20th of October. On this day, 60 years ago, the war started, which we popularly known as the 1962 war. It started on this day, that is 20th of October. Now my question is, 7 साल हो गया है, तो अभी अरुणाचल में फिर भी we are talking about development, we are talking about lack of roads, we are talking about lack of infrastructure. तो हमारा एमएलए साहब बैठा हुआ है, ये बॉर्डर एरिया से है, लोकम तसार जी बीजेपी का एमएलए है. उनका कहना है कि ये जो बॉर्डर एरियाज में है काफ़ी कम पॉपुलेशन है, पॉपुलेशन सब टाउन एरिया में माइग्रेशन हो गया है. तो इनका ये भी कहना है कि हमारा जो सेना है इंडियन आर्मी का सोल्जर्स है, उनको भी पेट्रोलिंग वगैरह के लिए भी दिक्कत हो रहा है क्योंकि इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर कम है. मेरा सवाल ये है, इसका कौन इसका लिए जिम्मेवार है? हु इज रेस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर दिस? ये क्यों नहीं हुआ? एंड व्हाई इज सो मच ऑफ डेवलपमेंट टेकिंग प्लेस जस्ट अक्रॉस द बॉर्डर? आप अगर टेरेन का बात कहें, ज्योग्राफी का बात कहें, ये तो बिल्कुल सिमिलर टाइप के ज्योग्राफी है, यहाँ भी माउंटेन्स है, वहाँ भी है. तो आपका क्या कहना है सुजीत कुमार जी?
First of all, Mr. Wasbir, I would like to extend my greetings to all my brothers and sisters of Northeast, and I would like to take this opportunity to salute all the brave hearts of our armed forces who fought valiantly, bravely, fighting the Chinese in the 1962 war. I think that, in the last, I completely agree with Group Captain Panging when he said that in the last 7-8 years, the kind of infrastructure development that has happened in the border areas was not seen before. In fact, I was in Tawang last month, and we drove from Tawang to Shillong in a single day. We started at 6 in the morning and reached Shillong at around 10 p.m. It would not have been possible even 2-3 years ago. So BRO has done such a fantastic work, so I commend BRO, salute BRO.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, coming back to your query as to why China has been able to build roads, highways in each side of the border and we haven't been able to. First of all, I would like to say that it is the India-Tibet border, it is not the India-China border.
True.
We don't share an inch of land with China. China has occupied, invaded Tibet since 1951, and unfortunately that has now become an occupied territory of China. So I always prefer to call it the India-Tibet border.
True.
Now in the occupied territory of Tibet, that is in Chinese part, China is a communist country. CCP can do whatever it wants. India is a democratic country, so it's not that easy to follow the Chinese footsteps, whether it's in the economy or in infrastructure, because there is a set process. Even if to build a house, even if to acquire land, even if to demolish existing settlements, we have to go through a democratic process, a settled process. We have to follow the rule of law.
Right.
Having said that, I think for a long time we were not very serious about our border. We were not serious about our. In fact, I think we did learn the lessons of the 1962 war. It's only in the last 7-8 years that government of India has woken up to the threat from China, which is our greatest enemy, which is our threat number one. And I think massive, not only in the Arunachal border, but even in Ladakh, even in Sikkim, I think massive funds have been placed, massive infrastructure development is going on. we are matching the Chinese development one on one, and I have no doubt that with our brave armed forces, we have shown the Chinese that we are not going to be bullied by the Chinese bully.
Absolutely. I'll come back to you, Mr. Sujit Kumar. Let me go quickly to Mr. Ninong Ninong ji, we have been discussing these issues. You have been on my show for several times, and you have always been raising your voice, whether it is in Parliament, whether it is in the stateless assembly, or whether it is outside. Now, my question is, what are the major changes that has taken place in the 60 years? Because will your party not take some of the blame for not giving due attention to the border infrastructure and development, or do you think this issue is far beyond party politics?
Well, let us be very frank. See, our mindset has changed. Once upon a time when we were there, I was also a small child in 1962. I was a student in class 2. So when this war started, I was there in school. My father was going back. So since then, we also used to think, why is it that infrastructure has not been developed in Arunachal Pradesh, that time NEFA? So there was a very simple reason, and of course, I beg to differ from that. They used to say that अगर रास्ता बन जाता है, तो चीन लोग उसमें आ जाता है. It becomes very easy for them to come down to Tezpur or to Dibrugarh or to even to Pasighat, or it becomes very easy to come down to Tezu and all those Lohit areas. That concept has changed. Now, if the Chinese come also, they will not come through the roads. The Chinese will come through the heavens. So it is better, this is the day of the intercontinental ballistic missile, so we should not have that kind of naive thinking.
Yes.
Now we have to develop our borders. We have to tell China that we are not enemies. We don't want to be enemies. We should start border trade. Though you forget that concept that, okay, Tibet is part of China or Arunachal is part of China. Our Honorable Chief Minister, like my very good friend Sudhi says, we have no borders with China, we have borders with Tibet. Here, Honorable Chief Minister always says that. And now, when they have said that, even the last, recent, we had a very big meeting there in Washington, where most of us had gone, and we are co-chairmen of the IPAC. This is the committee, Inter-Parliamentary Association Against China. So, this committee, not only it is not only for us, but for Laos, Cambodia, China, Japan, the Japan Seas, for Taiwan. In fact, Sujit ji has just come back from Taiwan. Even against the orders of the government of India, he challenged the government and said, no, we must fight for our rights. We must do something against the CCP or against the PLA. So I give full credit to him because he is my co-chair. And not only that, also in our Indo-Tibetan Parliamentary Forum also, he always leads us. So what I think, we have to change our concept. If you say that Congress did not do anything, I think I'll differ with you. So Wasbir, we are very old friends, we always argue.
Yeah.
But I think Dr. Manmohan Singh also gave a package of 20,000 crores. So let us not forget that. But yes, I appreciate what our Honorable Prime Minister is saying, that each and every month, not month, weeks, they send this, our Honorable Ministers to the Northeast, and not only to Arunachal, but through the whole of Northeast, and particularly to Arunachal they send. And now the infrastructure that is coming up, we have to appreciate, even though I'm a Congress, I said I'm a positive opposition.
Now we
constructive opposition.
Absolutely.
So I really won.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, carry on and finish your point. Yes.
So my point is that we have to develop the infrastructure in the border areas. Let it be electricity.
No doubt about that. No doubt about
roads, that. Let it be education, let it be health facilities.
Yes.
So once these things come up, I think Sujit also will agree with me, or my other friends also, that once, there is a drain, just like there's a drain in the whole of India towards the foreign countries, here also, all the people are coming towards the cities. So we want them to go back. We have to develop ecotourism,
Right.
we have to develop the roads, we have to
migration,
develop the infrastructure. Once it's done,
Ninongaringji, the migration
that
will
has to be stopped.
Migration will stop only when the border areas are developed, because the Chinese are making villages. They are making modern dual-use villages where both the local population as well as the Chinese military, the PLA can stay, the dual-use villages. So we need to match up to that, and the concept of a vibrant village, if it comes up, that will be great. Now, basically, let me go back. I'll come to you, Mr. Sujit Kumar. Let me go back to Group Captain Mohanto Panging. Group Captain Panging, what do you think about youths? Even now, from 19th of August, another issue that troubles us is that our youths who go there in search of medicinal plants and for hunting and so on, they disappear on and off. And most of the time they are found to be in the custody of the PLA, and with the great intervention, with the intervention of the Indian Army, several of these youths have been got back. We have got back the youths. Now, why does these things happen? And that is also creating a lot of distress among the border people.
Actually, traditionally, the people who are staying in the borders, there is no clear border marked. And they used to go for collecting these medicinal herbs, animal products, just to survive. And since these transgressions of border and borderline is not clearly marked, so they'll end up in each other's territory. So this has happened now 5-6 times, and some of our dear Arunachalis have not even been returned back. Some of them has come back. So there is a mechanism that needs to be worked out. I have a suggestion through your medium, through your channel, that we should have military contacts, yes, important, but we should have civil contacts also. That means at the level of government, at the level of deputy commissioners of the district, they should set up hotlines, and they should establish relationship with the opposite side, so that this kind of minor transgressions don't lead to a serious issue. Like existing in other places, like armies have generally hotlines. So we need to establish that even at the district government levels.
Let's have everybody on the screen.
We are 2-3 honorables listening to us. They should try to implement this so that we also should have
let's rotate the conversation. Let us keep the conversation rolling. Yes, that's a very good point. I will take the opinion of Professor Nani Bath and Lokam Tasarji, but let me quickly ask Mr. Sujit Kumar. Sujit Kumar ji, the suggestion that Indian Army is having hotlines, the civil administration should also try and have hotlines. My question to you, is such a thing feasible? Is it practical? Is it feasible or not?
See, I'm not sure if it's feasible, but China has been, rather PLA has been time and again kidnapping our boys. So this has to be stopped. So Government of India should take a serious view of this, whether the hotline should be at the level of army commanders or at the level of the civilian officers.
Yes.
That is, I think, to be decided, because these are details. I'm not sure, I'm not very conversant about these kind of details.
Absolutely.
But we have to send the message to PLA and to CCP in no uncertain terms that India will not tolerate this kind of abduction, torture of our boys, because we have to stand by our boys, we have to stand by our citizens, okay? The people living in border areas, they have every right to earn their livelihood, Yes, of course the border is demarcated. We know that the border is demarcated at most places. But that is no excuse for the PLA to kidnap our boys, and I think we have to send a stern and strong message. Because I keep telling everyone, China understands only one language, and that is the language of strength. China behaves like a typical school bully. The more you accept the bullying, the more it will try to bully you. But the moment you stand up and say, hey, I'm not going to take up your nonsense anymore, then they will respect you. So this is the kind of message that we have to send to China, and I think we have to go beyond political rhetoric here.
Absolutely.
I respect Tasarji, I respect huge respect for Nina Veringji, but when it comes to the unity and sovereignty of the country, when it comes to border areas, I think
we have to close ranks.
We should go beyond politics.
We have to close ranks. We have to close ranks. Yes, Professor Nani Baat, what do you think? What kind of an impact, as an observer who is studying the situation there, what kind of an impact this kind of kidnappings or this kind of people missing and found to be in Chinese custody, then tortured and then given back after several months, several days, like last time the youth was handed over to Indian army after 10 days, after 15 days. So what kind of an impact does it have on the border people or on the people of the state?
Wasbir, let me give an academic understanding to the issue. Unlike Montoji or Ninongji or Lokam Tasarji, I am an academician, so I would give my academic perspective to the issue.
Yes.
First of all, let us try to understand there are two types of hunters. The first hunter is the actual hunter who actually hunt for the animals, not only hunt for the animals, but also hunt for the medicinal plants. And they often intrude into the Chinese territory, as I said, the perception territory, and they get arrested maybe. Another hunter is quote unquote hunter. I don't know whether Mantaji would agree with me or not, but they are the hunter who are local people but used by the security agencies in order to go
That is immaterial. That is not the point. That is not the point. Point is, I am talking about local youths. Forget their trade, forget whether they are village, but they are Arunachalis, they are Indians. They have nobody has the right to arrest them or capture them and trap them and keep them. Now, Naniji, let me take a counter view of this from Mahanto Panging. To me, it is not an issue.
No, let me complete. You have to
we don't know.
First.
We don't know.
Let him speak.
First of all, Naniji, let me be very clear. We are not going to talk about who these people are. We are only going to talk about that they are Arunachalis. That is our limited point. Let's stick to that.
I agree to the fact that they are Arunachali youths, but I don't see any reason why they should be abducted by so-called PLA. We really need to understand the reason behind crossing over to the border.
We cannot speculate.
There are people, and Chinese have no reason, no right to abduct anybody from our territory.
Yes.
If you ask me about the, of course, that is there.
No, I am only asking about the impact. I am not interested in the reasons for kidnapping. I am interested in the impact of such kind of kidnappings on the people of the state.
Until and unless you understand the reasons for the kidnapping, how do you know the impact of the kidnapping?
Unfortunately,
we really need to know this first.
Okay, we will.
Now, impact. I'll come to the impact then.
Come to the impact.
It gives very.
Yes.
But I think Professor Bhatt.
Come to the impact.
There are some points are there. I'm telling you, I'll just, I will differ with
that can be very clear.
There are points, where there are certain things where we must not discuss this in the open. That is the reason. I think I'll agree with Mr. Wasbir Hussain. There are certain points where, this cannot be disclosed outside. There are some internal things within ourselves also, which we should keep to ourselves. We know, okay, they are going for searching of herbs. Okay, they may have gone hunting. But we have to say that point. Now, of course, some other people also may be hearing. So, we should not disclose the reason why they were abducted.
So that is the reason why I say I am only asking about.
We know, our administration knows.
Yeah. Now let me go to another aspect of the problem. But I'll have to go for a quick break. What should be the government of India's priority along the border with China? Now, if you look at the Chinese, this question is for the MLA from the border area, Lokam Tasarji. Lokam Tasarji, priority kya hona chahiye? You said villages. You have to stop migration of people. You have to create vibrant villages. But what about connectivity is also a big issue. Connectivity of telecommunication connectivity is a huge problem.
It's a huge problem. Number one, if we speak about the strategic border strategic issue, The demarcation between the Tibet and the Arunachal Pradesh is been maintained since from inception, since the first Dalai Lama. Now is a 14th Dalai Lama. Even before first Dalai Lama, we had been maintaining the border traditionally, and that is still maintaining. There is no proper security fencing along the LOC, like we constructed the barbed wire fencing in between Pakistan and India, like Bangladesh and India.
Right.
But in between Tibet and Arunachal Pradesh, there is no fencing, no security fencing. So these lands are used by those ancestral people, particularly number one for hunting, number two is for medicinal plant, natural medicinal plant. For these two factors, the land is being owned and the land has been preserved and maintained since from inception, from the time immemorial. And nowadays, I think the government of this time also there was some dispute between PLA and from our side in my constituency about hoisting of the flag at the actual location, LOC location. So if PLA will carry out some patrolling, they will definitely encroach their flag erection inside our territory. Then again our armed force will make it re-erect it at the actual location.
So demarcation, the point you are making is that the border demarcation has to be a little bit more proper, but whether we can do it or not, that is an issue. I'll have to go for a short break. When I come back, I will go to my panelists and ask, is border trade, not border fence, is border trade really possible? Because we have border trade with Myanmar, we have border trade with Bangladesh, whether it is possible to have border trade with China. I'll ask the panelists on this question. Don't go away, I'll be right back. Welcome back. Mr. Sujit Kumar, you have said that very clearly right at the beginning, Mr. Sujit Kumar. Okay, Sujit Kumar's thing is down. Let me ask this question. Let me ask this question to Mr. Noni Bath. Professor Noni Bath, is border trade, do you think border trade is possible?
Border trade is extreme possibilities there. Not only extreme possibilities there, but also there is extreme necessity of the border trade. Not only with Burma, but also with Bhutan and that of Arunachal, that of China. So what is important is that in order to have proper border trade with China, Bhutan, for that matter, with even Burma, security scenario has to change. We have to have good relations with these countries. Until and unless we have good relations with these countries, until and unless the problem of border exists or persists, I don't see any kind of good border relations with trade relations with that of China. And also what is important is that we really need to have border trade with that of Bhutan. And for that also we have to have a good relations with that of government of Bhutan, and at the same time we have to have good relations with government of Burma.
Right.
And
now,
only with that we can ensure a better prospect to border trade. And in the light of Lucas policy, this is extremely important once again.
Okay, let me take a view from Mr. Ninong Ering. Ninong Ering ji, border trade. Now, there is a fear that cheap Chinese goods will be dumped into India if we have border trade, and our own manufacturing units will face the brunt of it. They will not be able to compete with the cheap Chinese goods that are likely to come from the other side. So therefore, the border trade is not feasible. How do you view? How do you accept this view, or you have another view?
Let us be more practical and not make castles in the air.
Yeah.
I have personally seen when I was a farmer, even now also I'm a farmer and we do ginger cultivation. When the ginger rates were pretty high, what China did, they dumped all their ginger produce to all these ports in Mumbai or in Kochi or along the Bay of Bengal, according to the ports, and they dumped these things, and they just, the rates of ginger came down right from 25 to 2 rupees. China will always try to destabilize the market that is in India. But when you have a good, fair border trade, now when we say Diwali, you see the gods and goddesses of all these murtis, they are all made in China. All pichkaris and colors are made in China. So why can't we just catch the bull by its horns? We also send the produce that side and they send their produce this side. I'll tell you, we have a border trade here in Nampong, and the Myanmaris, they take our hero cycles and all across the border. Now, if India has a fair border trade, just like in Nathula we have that, the enmity that we have within us also will be lessened. And their mindset also may change. So we say we have Tawang, we have towards Anjao, in Kibito, then we have our in Gailing. So these are easily accessible. Roads are already there.
Let me
Only we just bridge it.
Yeah,
I would prefer that.
Let me ask the same question to Mr. Sujit Kumar, the Rajya Sabha MP and convener of the All-Party Parliamentary Forum for Tibet. Mr. Sujit Kumar, you say that you don't accept it as India-China border. You said Indo-Tibet border. That's what you call it, an Indo-Tibet border, not India-China border. Fine. My question is simple. Group Captain Monto Panging said that there has to be border trade also. That is also important for border development. Now we have the border trade in Nathula. It was opened several years ago after a long gap. Now the question is, do you think border trade with Arunachal Pradesh is feasible? Because unlike certain other parts of the country, China says that entire Arunachal Pradesh is ours and so on. They have been going ahead ballistic with this claim on and off. Whenever any of our important national leader visits Arunachal Pradesh, they will protest saying, oh, it is our territory and this and that, all kinds of funny comments they will make. Now, is border trade feasible in the Arunachal sector?
See, Mr. Wasir, China can make any claim it wants. Tomorrow, China might say the moon belongs to China. Does it mean that we accept that? So, everyone is aware today the goodwill of China is at an all-time low.
Yeah.
Now, with border trade, India and Tibet, India meaning like parts of Sikkim, Ladakh, the Himalayan border, they have been trading with Lhasa for centuries. So it's nothing new. Everyone desires trade because trade, is better for the economy, the local economy. Trade is better for enhancing the livelihood of people on both the sides. It is good for peace and stability. But what do you do in a situation like this, which is not conducive? When China is so hegemonic and China, wants to have a one-sided view of the scenario of the situation there, how do you trade? I mean, I'm all for border trade. But so I take Professor Nandibat's point that we should trade extensively with Bhutan, with Myanmar, with Nepal, for that matter. But I'm not sure how the trade will be enhanced with China in the Indo-Tibetan border. Nathula, of course, you did mention Nathula. There is a large trade going on, but unless China stops its ugly behavior at the border, I don't see the border trade becoming very sustainable and viable.
Right.
So,
Let me ask Lokam Tasarji. Lokam Tasarji, you are representing, you are an MLA, you are representing a constituency which is right along the border, which is a far-flung area. Now my question is, when there can be border trade in the Nathula sector, do you think, are you in favor of border trade or not? Because you know, demands from people's representative at the end of the day, the policymakers listen to them, the demand from the ground. Now, what is the view? Are people in favor of border trade or are they not?
Our people are, we are not opting border trade on priority, and because it is not even not possible unless we make it, unless the road connectivity, railway connectivity is made available. Now we are in the stage, we are in the barge of, you know, facilitating the defense personnel and our local people who are the landowners, the ancestral landowners across the LOC, across the border, to even local people, if they go to preserve and maintain their land, required a ration. Ration is to be is transported by head load. Our Indian defense personnel to conduct a patrolling, they are facing problem for ration. And the problem is number one. Number two is the head load transporter. So they cannot stay more time in the border along the border nearest to the LOC. So my concept is that there should be proper building. At present, the temporary structure of staging huts and all these are being blown up by the air and by it is damaged by the wild bears, and so army are facing untold problem, and the food track leading to the in-route border pass, like in my constituency district, we are having 5 food track passes, Indo-Tibet passes, and this is from earlier we used to say Tibet.
Okay, so you are
because in our word we said Nyepak and Nyeme, and we call it Nyeme, this Tibetan plateau. So to maintain that, my approach, last time also I have made a meeting with the paramilitary and military forces in the border area on 20th of the last month.
Yeah.
Then we have discussed about the hindrances being faced by the military, paramilitary forces.
That is the point, the infrastructure. That is the point. You are saying that this infrastructure is very important.
Means particularly helipad.
Very important for
particularly at this time, because number one priority is construction of a permanent this building, CGI sheet roofing with CGI sheet walling.
These are the nitty-gritty. So basically, Lokam Tasarji, I'll stop you because I am running short of time. Basically, what Lokam Tasarji is saying that there has to be proper infrastructure and proper facilities, at least for the defense forces to do their job properly. So that is coming up, no doubt about it. We now have a tunnel. We now have an underground tunnel through the mountains to Tawang that will ease the traffic, that will ease the people from going to Tawang, that will make life easy for the defense forces as well as for tourists. Mahanta Panging ji, you know, I mean, infrastructure is the key. At the end of the day, we now have a tunnel to Tawang. We have underground tunnels to Tawang, which has just been actually declared open, about to be declared open.
Sir. Today, sir, I can travel to Yingkiong and reach in 2.5 hours.
Yes.
Today, I can reach Pichupa in 5-6 hours.
Correct.
And with the tunnels coming up, like our professor from Odisha has said, that we can reach Shillong in 1 day, sir. There, ALG.
He is an MP. He is an MP from Odisha.
C-130s are landing, sir.
He is an MP from Odisha.
C-130s are landing. Sukhois are landing in Arunachal Pradesh. And recently, the Greenfield airport in Itanagar has taken an Indigo.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But
now,
sir, I have one request. I have one request. This Arunachal shares a border with Tibet or China, as you call it. And all the rivers come from China to India, including the Siang or the Brahmaputra. And whatever damages and erosions are caused are from these rivers that come, and they are building dams in Siang,
Okay,
Subansiri and other rivers.
Mohanto Panging ji,
one point.
I have to stop
So
you.
we have
I'm
30
running
seconds, sir,
total
30 seconds.
absolutely short of time. I apologize.
30 seconds, sir.
My
30 seconds,
apologies. Sincere apologies. We'll continue this discussion next week, and I would request Sujit Kumar ji and the panelist. We will contact you. We'll discuss the situation once again. We continue this conversation. At the end of the day, today, of course, we have to say that what has happened after 1962 war, what are the developments that has taken place. We can proudly say that the army of 1962 is not the army of 2022. We have got a very, very dependable and advanced military, advanced army today. Our defense forces are quite capable of giving a befitting reply to any kind of Chinese misadventure. And as far as Arunachal is concerned, we have several advanced landing grounds already. Several of the defunct advanced landing grounds have been revamped. Several new advanced landing grounds have come up. We have Boeing, big-bodied, small-bodied Boeing aircrafts landing at the Holongi Greenfield Airport already in Itanagar. So there has been a lot of developments. There is a tunnel, underground tunnel, which is an engineering marvel that has been almost ready for use. So these are the developments that has taken place, and of course we will continue this conversation as I have said, and I would like to thank my panelists for participating in the show and the viewers for watching the program. Good night and goodbye.